What is up, YouTube? So I'm here with another reaction video, and apparently some of Wade Wilson's new jail footage has been going viral. So I gotta react to it. So we're gonna go ahead and watch this video right here by Court Investigation. Shout out to them. Go hit them with a sub. I'm gonna like that video, and let's go. I know y'all been enjoying the Wade Wilson content.
Like we got.
I'm not a monster. Yeah, I'm not a saint either.
Hey, Daddy.
Hey, baby girl.
Just through our conversations, things were whack. Like we got.
Hey, listen, they're like, these people are crazy.
The new footage of Wade Wilson from the jail has gone viral, highlighting his bold statements after his death sentence. This adds a fresh layer of complexity to the ongoing legal battle surrounding his execution. Meanwhile, questions arise about Wilson's relationship with his girlfriend, Mila, in prison, and whether his supporters might impact his death sentence. Stay tuned to this video for an in-depth look at these developments and more.
Imagine being a Wade Wilson supporter.
Wade Wilson's new jailhouse footage.
It doesn't worry me. It worries me only because of the level of corruption around here in Fort Myers that I was involved with.
In an interview with NBC2, Wade Wilson claimed that he was part of a criminal organization that was involved in various illegal activities, including human trafficking and prostitution. He said that this organization was using its influence and corruption to frame him for the murders of Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz to cover up their wrongdoing. Earlier, Wilson denied knowing Diane Ruiz or being involved in her death.
As far as Diane Ruiz, I never.
So now he's being framed? Like, I don't even understand where this is coming from. So now he wants people to think he's being framed. Actually, you know what? This actually call doesn't look that real. Hold on, he doesn't look like he has.
Never ran.
I can't. The video's so bad. It looks like he might have. I can't tell if he has.
I've never seen her, and there's nothing that will say otherwise than that.
He mentioned that he was forced to confess to the murders. Wilson said he met Christine Melton the night before she died, but left her car the next morning while she was still alive. However, police evidence and his father's statements contradict his story. Recently, Wade Wilson's jailhouse calls were leaked.
Bro, like, you called your father and admitted to this and, like, seemed happy about it, and your own dad testified against you. I mean, is it possible you got set up? Sure, anything's possible, but it just seems so unlikely, bro. Come on.
Revealing his confessions about the crimes he committed. In a call with his father, Wilson, convicted for the murders of Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz, confessed to his father about the crimes and his situation. Wade admitted to his father that he ran over Ruiz with a car many times and described it as very disturbing.
It was that bad, Dad. I mean, I ran over her with a f***ing car 100 times, you know?
Exactly.
I mean, it was that's the part that made it bad.
He also said he choked Melton and wasn't sure if the blood on him was from her or from injuries he got while climbing fences. He felt confused about why he had acted.
He was not good at climbing that fence. He doesn't seem like he had a whole lot of upper body strength back there. Because I could probably hop a fence like faster than that, and I'm like a bit fat, you know. He not fat. He not hopping that fence very well.
Towards women. Wade expressed frustration about the media calling him a monster and comparing him to Ted Bundy. He also mentioned Kelly for trying to get media attention, saying it was wrong while they were still looking for the second victim. During the call, his father advised him to be honest and think about why he did these things. Wade's father told him to stay safe and be honest despite the negative media attention. Wade Wilson's calls with Mila, who is likely his girlfriend, were also leaked. Their conversations showed a lot about his mindset, how he handled the situation with the media, and his actions. Mila was concerned about him, and they discussed personal and legal issues. Wade reassured Mila that he did not have any sexual contact with the victims, even though the media was spreading rumors about it.
Yeah. No, hell no.
You put your dick in them or no?
No.
Murdering Christine Melton and Diane.
I just want to say, if he was really innocent and like you're trying to like make yourself look innocent, wouldn't you not go get like all these crazy tattoos on your face? Like that's just what would like, strike me as making sense. Maybe I'm the crazy one, but yeah.
Ruiz in Cape Coral, Florida, strangled her in her home and then stole her car. Using her phone, he tried to call his girlfriend, Melissa Montanez, but she refused to get into the vehicle with him. Next, Wilson met Diane Ruiz, who was 40.
That was a really smart choice by her. I mean, probably not so smart to be dating a guy you gotta refuse to get in the car with, but yeah, that probably saved her life right there.
When she asked him for directions, he invited her into his car. When she tried to leave, he strangled her and then threw her out of the car. He got back into the car and ran over her multiple times, making her body look like spaghetti. Christine Melton suffered severe injuries, including bruises, hemorrhages on her neck, and damage to her lungs, liver, bladder, and colon. Diane Ruiz had a fractured nasal bone, a cut on her left breast, bruises on both sides of her body, and broken ribs. After Wade Wilson was sentenced to death, the families of Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz felt a mix of relief and sadness. It had been 5 years since their loved ones were killed, and seeing Wilson sentenced brought some comfort. State Attorney Amira Fox described Wilson as extremely evil and a vicious killer. She said that his actions were some of the worst she had ever seen. Wade Wilson has been moved to Union Correctional Institution in Florida, where death row inmates are kept. This prison is more restrictive than Lee County Jail, where he was held before. Wilson will spend about 30 days in isolation for evaluation before being placed on death row. He won't have the same privileges as he did before, such as access to a tablet or open communication with the outside world. Instead, he will be in a more controlled and isolated environment. The death row area is designed to be very secure. Wilson's case will go through a long appeals process, which might take years. During this time, he will remain in the death row unit, waiting for the final decision on his execution. Having reviewed the jailhouse footage of Wade Wilson and his execution trial, let's now see how his female fans have responded and whether he had any
like I keep saying, imagine being one of these Wade wives, or imagine being so lost you're like one of Wade's supporters, and you're willing to be public with it. That's bro, some people need to be stopped.
romantic relationships with them. Wilson's sexual involvements with fans. Following the verdict on Wade Wilson's sentence, news came out about Wilson receiving X-rated photos from female fans while in prison. The internet reacted with disbelief over the shocking actions of these women. Some of them even went as far as asking the judge to not give Wilson the death sentence. A lot of Wilson's supporters have also written to the judge, asking him to spare Wilson's life, even though the jury has already decided that he should get the death penalty. Since Wilson was found guilty on June 12th, he has received a large amount of communication. According to the Lee County Sheriff's Office, he has gotten 3,903 messages through a monitored system that allows people to send messages to inmates. He has also received 65 letters in the mail. In addition, Wilson has accepted 279 connection requests, which means he has allowed other people to message him, and he has been sent 754 photos, although 163 of those photos were rejected by the prison because they were considered inappropriate. Many of the people contacting Wilson are women who are sending him letters of support, even though he has been convicted of terrible crimes. Some of these women have written to the judge, asking him to give Wilson a life sentence instead of the death penalty. They argue that if Wilson is sentenced to life in prison, he will have time to think about what he did and try to make up for it in some way. They also say that a life sentence would allow his family to continue having a relationship with him. Florida law requires at least 8 jurors to agree on the death penalty. In Wilson's case, 10 jurors voted for the...
Crazy. In most places, you need like unanimous for something like that. 8 jurors, that's all you need to get a death penalty, bro. That's crazy. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't think I do. I think it needs to be more than 8. I think at least 10, probably all of them, if anything. I'm not super in favor of the death penalty, but I don't know, bro.
Death penalty in the murder of one woman, and 9 jurors voted for it in the other case. On June 28th, a woman named Heidi Cox from California wrote a letter to the judge asking for Wade Wilson to be sentenced to life in prison without the chance of parole instead of the death penalty. In her letter, she explained that she cares deeply for Wilson and has thought a lot about the seriousness of the situation. She understands how serious the crimes are, but believes that a life sentence would allow Wilson to reflect on his actions, seek forgiveness, and possibly contribute in a positive way from within the prison system. Cox also mentioned that if Wilson were given life in prison, his family would still be able to visit and communicate with him. This relationship, she explained, would be lost if Wilson were sentenced to death. She asked the judge to think about how his decision would affect not only Wilson's life, but also the well-being of their family. In her view, choosing life without parole would deliver justice while still preserving some humanity in a difficult time. Cox expressed her commitment to supporting Wilson through his journey of atonement and rehabilitation, wherever that path may lead. Another letter was sent by Lindsey Brann from Canada. Brann admitted that she didn't have...
Hold on. First of all, this lady's from Canada. I'm not happy with you. Not a good look for us. But his atonement and all this stuff, bro, he's in court like he could care less. Like, this isn't a man who's apologetic. What are we talking about? His atonement and goddamn, bro. People are lost.
Any qualifications to offer an expert opinion.
And look past his tattoos. Even without the tattoos, he'd be in the exact same position. The tattoos just make it look worse. They don't change really anything else. They just make it look a tiny bit worse because you were dumb enough to go put all that on your face. Weren't even respectful enough to not do that, but they don't really change anything. I think without the tattoos, he'd be in the exact same book. Maybe a little less social media coverage. His face would look a little less viral on thumbnails, but not much other than that, and not even much there.
But still asked the judge to think about Wilson's mental health issues and the possibility of him receiving treatment. She wasn't arguing that Wilson should avoid punishment for the crimes he committed, but she questioned if the death penalty was the right solution. Bran explained that even with the death penalty, Wilson would spend years in the prison system while still dealing with his mental health issues, and that the death penalty wouldn't fix either Wilson's problems or bring back the 2 women he killed. A third letter, written on July 8th by Marion Worth and a group of concerned citizens, raised several concerns about Wilson's trial. The letter outlined 17 different issues, ranging from Wilson's troubled up.
Bro, I just want to say this is a good little photo right here. Hold on, let me.
Issues ranging.
Bro, look at this to this. This, like, bro, how do you go from this to this? You look like a goofy kid here, kind of funny, nerdy, class clown, maybe not really a ladies' man, to this, bro. Cold, uncaring. He kind of has the eyes in the other two. You can kind of see it. Pictures ain't so good. They're kind of grainy, but you can kind of see it.
From Wilson's troubled upbringing to how his appearance influenced the jury. The group argued that Wilson's face tattoos, which they suggested he got to survive.
Ain't no glory. Why would you tattoo glory? What glory, bro? And his atonement, but he's tattooing glory on his face. Like, come on.
In a dangerous jail environment were unfairly used by the prosecution to make the jury think negatively of him. They believed that the focus on Wilson's tattoos was an attempt to prejudice the jury against him. Richard Gabriel, a jury expert, also shared his thoughts on how Wilson's appearance could have affected the jury's perception of him. Gabriel said that a defendant's appearance can have a subtle impact on the jury, as they are always looking at the person on trial and forming opinions about whether or not they look like someone who would commit such a crime. Kevin Shirley, Wilson's attorney, acknowledged that Wilson has an intimidating appearance, but mentioned that once Wilson understood the defense strategy being used to help him, he was cooperative and respectful toward the legal team. Shirley emphasized that Wilson was never difficult to work with once he realized what the defense team was trying to do for him. Wade Wilson has a long history of crime, adding to his recent conviction for the murders of Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz. He is now facing death row, and only the date of his execution is left to complete his crime timeline. Wilson's criminal history began when he was young. He was born on May 20.
Chat, do y'all think he's gonna get out of the death penalty and he's gonna get life at some point? You think he can squeeze out of it? It's not impossible. It could happen. What do y'all think? I think he's gonna get death. I think he's gonna get death. I think like maybe some mental illness thing might come in somewhere down the road, but I think he's gonna get death. And another thing, that GoFundMe or whatever other similar GoFundMe website has the donations for him that's at like 90K now or whatever. I think Jumpsuit Pablo had a point. It's like an unnamed woman making that. I think she's scamming everybody. I don't think he's getting that money. Because you steal that, I don't think no police and judges or prosecutors gonna go looking for you in this case. Most, yeah, not this one. Not this one. I think they're just gonna laugh at Wade and be happy he didn't get the money. Realistically, because they're just gonna have to spend more of their budget for the year on him if he gets more money, because he can do more of a defense. So I guess
1994 and given up for adoption by his birth parents. He grew up in Tallahassee, attended Chili's High School, and graduated in 2012. In 2015, Wilson was arrested for sexual battery and kidnapping after a woman accused him of raping her in his SUV following a party in Tallahassee. Although Wilson denied the charges, a jury found him not guilty. In 2018, Wilson...
This is just the part where I say this could have been avoided in my last video. He had so many crazy charges that he got out of that if any of them had happened, he would have been on probation, still locked up. He had some crazy stuff he was doing in 2019 and he got off for the dumbest reason. He shouldn't have even been out on the street realistically, especially with 3 like this. Like, It's just, listen to this stuff. It's crazy. He should have never been in the position to do this.
Became known during the trial of Denise Williams, who was convicted of murdering her husband Mike Williams and conspiring with her lover, Brian Winchester, to stage it as an accident. Winchester, who was Wilson's jailmate, testified that Wilson offered to help him fabricate evidence and even suggested killing Denise Williams. Williams was eventually sentenced to life in prison. On February 19, 2019, Wilson's former girlfriend accused him of stealing her laptop and cell phone. The next month, she claimed he kidnapped and raped her, but since there was already a court order against them contacting each other, the case was not pursued. By September...
How does that make any sense, bro? You do all that and because they weren't supposed to contact each other, none of it matters. That, to me, is insane. That would never happen here. Yeah, you might be in some trouble for breaking the order here, but he's still going to be in trouble for the craziness of what he did. Like, there's no way that makes any sense, bro. That's not justice. That's why I always say the American justice system is so messed up.
2019, Wilson had pleaded guilty to pawning stolen property related to his ex-girlfriend and received credit for time served and probation. Another woman in Lee County had accused him of rape and kidnapping, but she decided not to press charges. On July 1st, 2019, Wilson was arrested by the Lee County Sheriff's Office and charged with battery. A few months later, on October 7th, 2019, he met Christine Melton and her friend Stephanie Sailors at a bar in Fort Myers. The next day, Wilson called his father, Stephen Testaseca, asking for help and saying he had done something he could not undo. Wilson was arrested on October 8th, 2019 for the crimes he committed. By October 11th, 2019...
footage for stuff like that. Like, that wasn't Wade Wilson getting arrested. That's some random person being pulled over. They've done that a lot in these videos. It would be hilarious if you're getting arrested and all of a sudden you found yourself in the back of this video, or they took a clip of you talking for, like, the video and put it in to a Wade Wilson video, and really what you were talking about had nothing to do with that. That would be insane.
Cape Coral police identified him as a suspect in the murders of Diane Ruiz and Christine Melton. On September 30th, 2020, deputies at the Lee County Jail found out about a possible escape attempt involving Wilson and his cellmate. Wilson was charged with attempted escape and criminal mischief. On April 20th, 2023, authorities found narcotics hidden near landscaping rocks at the Lee County Jail, which Wilson was involved in planting. The drugs tested positive for methamphetamine. Wilson was found guilty of the murders of Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz on June 12, 2024. On June 25, 2024, the jury recommended the death penalty for each murder. On August 15, 2024, Judge Nicholas Thompson denied Wilson's request for a new trial. Then, as discussed earlier, on August 27, 2024, Wilson was sentenced to death in the Lee County Courthouse. As we have discussed, Wade Wilson recovered explicit photos, and many of his female supporters are appealing to the judges to give him a life sentence instead of the death penalty.
That's a random woman talking, and it's not one of his supporters. So it's probably stock footage. That's what that looked like. But for the parts that's not, imagine you're that person and you end up in a video like this. Like, that's crazy, bro. Imagine that. I would be pretty pissed, to be honest with you.
Penalty, despite his history of crimes. Now, let's look into Wade Wilson's personal life, including his relationships with his girlfriends and wife. Wade Wilson's love connections. Wade Wilson's troubled past extends not only to his criminal activities, but also to his relationships. Wade Wilson's ex-girlfriend, Kelly Matthews, recently shared her experience with him on TikTok. Wilson, who now faces the death penalty for murdering 2 women in 2019, had a violent incident with Matthews before these crimes. Matthews said they met online in 2018, and, at first, Wilson was polite and charming. But when he started using cocaine, things changed. One time, she tried searching his bag for drugs, which led to a fight. He kicked a door, and she threw a kitchen table at him. Matthews said he didn't hit her until that night, and she didn't.
As a girlfriend, if you gotta be searching your man's bag for drugs, I don't know if that's the relationship you should be in. And as a man, if you're to the point where your girl gotta search your bag for drugs, like, maybe you gotta fix your life, you know? Like, I don't know. That's just crazy. Like, that's the type of thing you gotta get out of when it's to that point. 100%. 100%.
See any signs of violence until the end of their relationship. In February 2019, their relationship became more dangerous. Wilson had agreed to go to rehab, but then changed his mind, wanting to go to a rehab center in the Florida Keys instead. Matthews suspected he was lying, and they argued in a parking lot.
At some point, he had bit my face.
She says he drove them to the Keys, and Wilson got out and left. Matthews says she...
What kind of situation do you end up in to bite someone's face, bro? Like, Like what? Like I really don't understand. You're gonna bite someone's face. That's an odd situation to end up in. That's not like you're tussling and you end up biting their face. Like, what?
He drove home.
I should have stopped at like a gas station or something, but I think
Girl, you should have left a long time ago. I don't know what to tell you. You should have left a long time ago. A long time ago.
Thought no one would believe me.
During the argument, Wilson allegedly choked her several times, causing her to nearly pass out.
That's random video. They're playing this too.
Pushed her onto the floor of the car, cut off her clothes with a knife.
It's good though. It makes the little doc they have going good, but it's a lot of random video. A lot.
And tied her up using a garbage bag. Matthews also said that Wilson sexually assaulted her, biting her face and gagging her with a shirt and leggings. Wilson eventually let her go before they reached the keys. He gave her the car keys and left with another woman, allowing Matthews to escape. She drove home as fast as she could and immediately went to the police to report what had happened. Despite the severity of the attack, Matthews says that police didn't arrest Wilson. He told the police that Matthews was into that kind of thing, and the officers didn't take further action. Matthews believes that if the police had arrested Wilson back then, the murders of Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz could have been avoided. She feels that the detective didn't take her claims seriously, which let Wilson stay free and continue his violent behavior. Now, Wilson faces either life in prison or the death penalty for the murders. Matthews continues to speak out, feeling that the system failed her and that these tragedies could have been prevented if her case had been handled properly. Despite this, some people on social media, including women who find him attractive, have rushed to defend him. They ignore the evidence, including his recorded.
You gotta be an idiot of a woman to find him attractive when he's put more effort into his face tattoos and his hair than caring about what happened. Whether he holds himself accountable for it or not, thinks he was in the wrong headspace, that it's not his fault. No feeling bad, no accountability. Like, come on, bro. And he doing all this talking with stitches on his mouth, bro. Like, get out of here, bro. Like, stop talking if you're gonna tattoo that on your mouth. Please, bro, like, come on.
Confessions of the crimes. Wilson has a new girlfriend named Mila. Her name was identified through a deleted GoFundMe page for Wilson and passed arrest warrants. During phone calls from jail, their conversations also included sexual content. Wade made several sexual remarks about wanting to be physically close to Mila, emphasizing his desire for intimacy and his excitement about it.
Listen, when you send me pictures, send me some sexy ones and some normal ones. Would you do that? Would you send both?
I don't know if there are a lot of sexy ones allowed to go through there.
You can send sexy ones. They can't. You can't
I'm sorry,
be naked.
but that girl can't send you sexy pictures. It's not something she's capable of. Have you seen her, bro? I get you're locked up, but she's not capable of that. I'm just saying. And I wouldn't say that if you weren't supporting Wade Wilson. I'd be more chivalrous than that. But girl, you don't deserve that.
But you can send sexy ones, though. Just don't be, like, too sexy. Like, I know you're sexy and shit.
He expressed a desire for Mila to send sexy pictures and detailed how he wanted them to be both sexy and normal. Wade also talked about his sexual preferences and how he would react to receiving intimate pictures. They discussed financial matters, with Wade requesting Mila to send money and talking about their financial needs. They touched on Wade's interactions with others and their plans for the future. The conversations reflected a mix of personal issues, intimacy, and practical concerns. Wilson and Mila discussed his trial and laughed about the media coverage of his crimes. She even found it amusing when Wilson mentioned a rumor about him eating snacks at his first victim's house. This behavior was unsettling, especially considering Wilson is facing either a life sentence or the death penalty. Wilson had no previous relationships with either of the victims, Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz. Christine's mother, Katie, who has Alzheimer's, still believes her daughter is alive and married. The family...
God, bro, that's horrible. Your mom has Alzheimer's, you're gone, and you still thinks you're like, bro, that's horrible, bro. Why would you do that to anybody?
Hasn't told her about Christine's death because they don't want to cause her more pain. Christine's brother, Robert Melton, said his mother's health declined rapidly after Christine was murdered, and sometimes she remembers what happened, causing her to relive the grief. Christine was close to her mother, living nearby to help protect her from scammers because her mother's illness made her vulnerable. They would have coffee together every morning, and Christine was the person who kept the family together. Robert described his sister as a fun, caring, and light-hearted person. He talked to her a few days before she was murdered about how to protect protect their mother from making bad financial decisions due to her illness. When Robert got the news about Christine's death, he had a hard time believing it. At first, he thought his mother was confused, but after hearing their cousins in the background, he realized it was real. After the police cleared Christine's house, Robert went there and found blood still in the home. He helped clean it up. He said it felt strange and horrible, but at that time his main concern was how their mother would handle the situation. Robert is disturbed by the support Wilson has received online and finds it ridiculous that people are helping someone who killed 2 women. Even Wilson's lawyer thinks the attention is absurd. Despite the fundraising to challenge Wilson's sentence, Robert believes the focus should remain on Christine and Diane, not on Wilson. After Wade Wilson's sentence was announced in court, Christine Melton's cousin Samantha spoke on behalf of her family.
Because this has been 5 years of agony.
She said they had stayed quiet throughout the case to protect it, even though Wade Wilson's supporters had been very vocal. She mentioned that they were done being quiet now and promised that Wilson would see them again in the courtroom. Samantha also thanked the attorneys, Sarah and Andreas, for their help and support during the 5 long years of dealing with this case. She said the family wouldn't have made it through without them. Diane Ruiz's father, Felix, also spoke in court. He shared that he never got to say he loved or missed his daughter before she was killed.
My name is Felix Ruiz, the father of Diane. I didn't get to say I love her, and I miss her.
Felix thanked the state attorney and law enforcement for their hard work in bringing the case to this point. He said that this wasn't the end and promised to be present when Wade Wilson took his last breath during his execution. As we have discussed, Wade Wilson went from denying the murders to admitting them on phone calls. Despite this, his fans, especially
somehow he's gonna say he got set up.
his female supporters, have been urging the courts not to give him the death penalty. Meanwhile, the families of the victims have endured 5 long years of suffering waiting for justice. Even with Wilson sentenced to death, they will never get their loved ones back. The disturbing online fandom and support for Wilson reflect how twisted and misguided parts of society have become. If you liked this video,
yeah, imagine your loved one gets killed in like that type of horrible way, and it takes 5 years for the trial. The victim, I mean, the guy who was responsible for it shows no remorse, gets all this stuff on his face, has, all these crazy people supporting him, TikToks about it, all this stuff becomes a big media frenzy. Like, it's just horrible. I feel so bad for the families. Like, it's crazy. It honestly couldn't be worse. Like, there's no justice. There's no accountability. Like, it's just, like, everything he could do to just make it worse on the victims is just, like, that's what he's doing. So, like, Wade Wilson's a horrible person. I hope you enjoyed this reaction video. I'm going to keep them coming. I recorded, like, 3 or 4 today. Most of them are Wade Wilson related, but not all of them. But I'm going to have them all coming out. I'm going to keep pumping out footage over here. Me and Pino also recorded a bunch of content today, so we're gonna have content pretty much coming out every day this week, and we're gonna try and spend 1 day a week recording content where we can pump it out pretty much every day and have the long form videos coming out. So not just the live streams, not just the interviews, not just the shorts. We're gonna have a lot of content over there. So yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed it. It's been another reaction video. I hope y'all are having a blessed day. And, that's about it. So just fuck Wade Wilson and peace out.